my co-writer and co-author and Dan Newby wrote a book on 150 emotions.
I wanted to ask you about that because the classic thing is we have 6 basic emotions. I think at the most I've seen was 27, and suddenly I see your book 150. Tell me more.
Yeah, and then there's another guy that has 2,500, right?
Wow.
Or what? So for me, it's useful if it is. If these distinctions actually can support you in living the life that you want, great. If having 6 emotions is all you need in order to go forward in life, that's fine too. So, are there 6 basic emotions? Are there 8 basic emotions? Who knows?
Who knows? Absolutely.
All I know is that in exploring, we had to make a cutoff, right? We cut it off at 150 because we could have gone on, and it was, well, how long do we want the book to be? And also, are these distinctions actually continuing to illuminate different aspects of human life? And once we got to this point, we go, well, the illumination is less and less meaningful, so we're going to cut it off here.
Yeah, I imagine you were getting to a finer and finer nuanced gradation of emotion, and then it's like, well, how do I use that? But what inspired you to decide to write the book?
Well, Dan inspired me to write the book because it was his idea, and he did 90% of the work, and he asked me to make a contribution to it, and he was generous enough to make me co-author. I added the somatic stuff. We worked it together. Probably 90% is a little self-effacing, but he definitely did the lion's share of the work on that book, and he was the inspiration with it. And I really had such a wonderful time collaborating with him. We'd known each other for a long time, and but we never created something together, and you know how that can be. But this was a delight. It was just so easy and so flowing. It was a lot of fun because what I really appreciated was the ability to connect how the body might be responding to each given emotion. Right? What's happening with the breath?
Can you give us a couple of examples, perhaps, Curtis, just so that people can understand a bit more how that flowed through?
Sure. So if you're feeling angry, where's your breath? Is it down low? Is it nice and slow? No.
Probably not.
Probably not. Right. It's up here, right? Usually, I'm not saying this is the truth, but in my experience, and then I ask people, listen, we're not saying this is the truth. Go out and see if it's true for you. And if it's not, great. What is true for you? But at least take a look. So it's up here and it's fast, right? Eyes are really focused.
Popping at you, yep.
Right? Exactly. There's probably, it depends on how angry you are. It's like you might even have some veins popping there. Right? Because we've all seen people angry. It's much easier to see it on somebody else than to see it on yourself.
Yes.
But just notice. So that's anger, right? And so how about when you're feeling peaceful? The kind of like the opposite of anger, right? It's like, where's your breath there? It's, for me, it's in the belly. It's slow.
Much more grounded.
I'm kind of leaning back maybe a little bit. It's grounded. All my energy is down.
Yeah.
Anger, my energy is up. So these are the distinctions that are in the book for all the different 150 emotions. And as a coach, it's like, oftentimes it's like, so what emotion are you experiencing right now with your client? And they may not know, but then you can ask, so what are you experiencing in your body?
Yeah.
And what's the narrative? Every emotion has a story with it, right? So what are you telling yourself that's evoking this emotion? So the emotional territory is, up until maybe 20 years ago, was so limited right? Until Daniel Goleman came out with his book,
Yeah,
right?
emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Emotional intelligence is like, he really gave everybody a big step up in terms of, oh, this is a legitimate domain of learning and exploration, right? And so it's fascinating. It was a lot of fun writing that with Dan, and we've had people report that they keep it right by their table when they're coaching. They use it as a reference. And I go,
Wow.
good. That's what it was intended for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you help your clients become more emotionally intelligent, emotionally literate, however you want to say it? How would you say you help them? It sounds like part of it is getting them into their bodies and understanding what's actually happening, but what's kind of the next step for you once they're aware of what's going on in their body? What do they do with that?
Well, I usually just beat them until they understand.
Okay, perfect. A good physical approach. I like it, Curtis.
Yes.
Wow.
That's that's my epistemological. Uh, so it's just as you were talking about, how do we educate or bring awareness to the body?
Mhm.
It's the same for me. It's the same process with the emotional territory as well, because we're always in some emotion, and so it's not as if we don't have that territory available. We do. We're just not educated. My buddy
Mhm.
Dan, he likes to call it emotional illiteracy. And, you know, 80% of the planet or more is emotionally illiterate, just like 80% of the planet or more 100 years ago was linguistically illiterate. They
Yeah.
couldn't, 80% of the planet couldn't read and write. And now 90% of the planet can read and write. So part of the impetus for the book was maybe we can support emotional literacy, and just give them the book and say, thumb through it, see if any of these things resonate. I might give them a section to look at, right? So they don't have to go through all 150. Dan has a bunch of cards that are really good. So you can
Oh,
say,
nice.
is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? But if the first thing is to see emotions as a legitimate territory for learning,
Mm-hmm.
and that they are there to help us. They're not something to be afraid of. So many people, in my experience, are afraid of the emotional territory.
Yeah, they don't want to go there.
And that's one of the first things, is to let's make it safe to explore.
Mm-hmm.
You won't break. You won't forever, be a babbling idiot on the sidewalk somewhere. It's okay. We can get there. And so you titrate, just like everything, just like with somatics, you titrate because, you know, uh, and kudos to Mark for really bringing this to my awareness around trauma.
Yeah.
Because there's so much trauma out there, and his teacher,
Yes.
Paul, was the one that brought it to him. So I credit him as well. And there's a good reason why people might be nervous or scared of entering the emotional territory, because they were traumatized
Yeah.
around
They've
it,
been damaged at some level.
right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't mean to make light of it in any way, shape, or form. And I know that lightness can allow us to approach difficult territories more easily sometimes.
I think it's also understanding more. I was talking to a client of mine recently, and she's like, I'm so angry about everything. And so we worked together, and we sort of came to a point where her homework was to go away, her assignment was to go away and actually write down all of the different things she was angry about, to actually, let's have a look at the territory of it, let's understand what's going on, but then also to go that step beneath, and this is what we'll probably touch on next time, is going that step beneath in terms of, well, anger that's maybe got fear underneath it is probably going to feel different to anger because perhaps you're feeling judged by someone, or anger because you're disappointed by how life turned out or whatever it may be. And it was like, let's get into the territory of what is this anger? Anger is not what we tend to see it as, one amorphous. It's just like a blob, isn't it? Somehow, I'm angry. And then getting into maybe that's just me, but just getting into the nuances of, and it sounds like what you've done would be really helpful to help people understand a bit more about as you said, the distinctions between them.
Yeah, and it's not like we're just in one emotion, we're in multiple emotions. And yeah. I agree with you. Most of the time when I get underneath anger is sadness.
Yeah.
You know, and the anger is a way to cover it up for men.
Yeah.
Right. And it's under sadness. In my experience with women, this is just my experience. It doesn't mean it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I found that most women find it easier to be sad or cry than actually experience the anger that's underneath that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so it's reversed, right?
Yeah.
It's easier for men to feel anger than it is to feel the sadness, and it's easier for women to feel the sadness than it is for the anger.
Yeah.
And knowing that as a coach can really help in okay, let's see what's being presented and see what's underneath it. I love that approach, Allison. And one of the things, back to the distinctions around the body is also, they'll say, well, I feel achy. And I'll say, well, where do you feel that? And they go, everywhere.
I think you've got my clients.
And so then I'll be really silly, but I do it to make a point. I go, so are you feeling achy in your eyelashes? And they'll go, no. I go, great. So it's not everywhere, because with somatics and with emotions and with linguistics, generalizations are not very helpful.
No.
So if we can get specific about what it is they're experiencing and where it is they're experiencing, it's much more helpful than everywhere or nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel nothing. Right? So that's usually when I pinch them. Did you feel that?
I think you've designed your coaching agreement very carefully with them before you start pinching them.
Sure. It's not a heavy pinch, but that's just a prelude to the beating that comes later. Oh boy, I can't believe this is going to be on video. Okay. Remember, joking. Anyway.
Oh dear.